go first, I'll be glad to shift it around so that you can go first. And then we'll have the police and fire after you. But before we get started, is Pastor McNary on the call? If he would like to lead us in prayer. If not, Donald, will you do that for us?
Sure. Pastor McNary. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you for allowing us to come to you with open minds, open hearts, ready to learn, ready to listen, ready to do whatever is needed for our community. Heavenly Father, as we move forward in this meeting, Heavenly Father, we ask that you take any disagreements that we might have and make it so that we can listen, make it so that we can be heard. Heavenly Father, we know that our community is growing and we're dealing with issues. But Heavenly Father, what community is not? And as we deal with these issues, as we deal with this growth, we ask that you to guide us, lead us, provide for us, care for us, love us, protect us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, again, everyone, welcome to our September meeting. Ms. Warren, if you want to go ahead and give your report, that would be great.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday. We are super busy in the school district. I'm going to start with probably what's on everyone's mind is our upcoming redistricting. We have starting leading efforts of redistricting. Right now, if we look at our area high schools, Westlake High School sits at 2,480 plus students. Langston Hughes sits at roughly about 2,100 students. Creekside sits at about 1,900 students. Banneker 14 and Tri-Cities, I believe, between 13 to 1,400 kids. We are, and that's not including our middle schools and elementary schools. So this fall, we are redistricting both North and South Fulton. In South Fulton, we are addressing the overcrowding at some of our schools and trying to make sure that due to all the new development, that we situate our schools so that one school or one cluster isn't overburdened with so many students. We have our next community hearing, which will be September 15th at Langston Hughes High School at 6:00 p.m. Last night and the night before, we had here is redistricting, here's what it is, here's how we determine where we would draw the lines. And then we went, and then what'll happen is on the 15th, they will take data from the census and they will start to construct maps. And then there will be probably 3 more times they will do that. They will get community feedback. And then hopefully by the first board meeting in November, the board will look at it and will ultimately vote on it in December of this year. This is something that people feel very, very passionately about. And one of the things that, as I spoke in my last community meeting, is that currently at some of our high schools, we have classrooms with 40 plus students. We have our schools who are working overtime to verify their students live in the district. We have worked diligently to make sure that we are going through records and anybody whose residency is in question, making sure that we go through further steps. And so just making sure that a good use of taxpayers' money and making sure that we don't overburden our schools. I've gotten lots of feedback from people who say, I don't want to go to school here or this or that. We don't come into the process with predetermined maps. What I can tell you is that Westlake High School is the biggest high school in Fulton County, and that's good and bad, but it is something that just as a parent, it's a lot of kids there. And so we have been sending information out to parents just to be a part of that process. In addition to our redistricting efforts, we are also, there was lots of talk about school safety and all the things that we are doing. All of our high schools in my area now have 2 police officers and a host of CSAs. Those are campus security associates. Those are people that kind of help us just monitor students, and just the safety of the building. In addition, Superintendent Looney and us as the board, we are in talks we already have a world-class camera system, but we've also working to make sure that we have tag readers. So people who come in and out of our schools, it automatically reads their tags and alerts us if any criminals are on there. Many times when something happens at a school, it's because of our cameras that we can determine what happens. By mid-September, mid-September to end of September, we should have alarms on all of our doors, but just really in the sense of safety that all what we see happening on the news. As I talked about this summer when I came, we have made it extremely clear that if you bring a weapon to school, you are put out of Fulton County, you are gone. But these are just things that I try to alert parents to. One of the things that we are seeing an uptick in our students, and just like indicative of the larger community, parents who, not parents, but community members or students who really cannot, are having difficulty with conflict resolution. And so we spend a lot of our time, our staff, making sure that any issues that we find out that we're addressing, but just like in the community, we are trying to make sure that we address those things so that they don't spill into further issues within the community. One of the things that we have heard repeatedly from parents is that parents want to make sure that students who may be causing a problem at school are dealt with appropriately. And one of the things that we have been in talks to do and currently have is that when we have students who are having issues within the school day, who may be suspended for things that are low-hanging fruit or arguments, we do send them to alternative school, but we also have a host of social emotional resources for them. So we are offering the students and the families counseling. We are offering that they do family counseling, individual counseling, mentors. So it's really just taking a village approach to this. We also have a couple of our schools that are currently dealing with, we have adopted a new reading program. And if you've heard of the science of reading, or you've read the AJC in the last couple of weeks, where they've talked about legislation around dyslexia. So all of our elementary teachers were trained last year on how to teach reading the appropriate way. And now our middle schools and high school teachers are also being trained. So I've talked a lot. I'm sure people have questions and or concerns. So before I go any further, I wanted to see if anybody had anything that they wanted to ask.
Yeah, this is Donald Barnes. How are you doing?
Hey, Mr. Barnes, how are you?
I'm good. I just have a question.
Uh-huh.
The redistricting, will that solve the problem?
It will solve the problem halfway. We are in desperate need of another school. Our highest zoned area is, once the redistricting happens, I anticipate with the number of communities, I'm sorry, with communities that are coming up, we will need a new school very, very soon. If you look at the trends from the census, we are growing at the rate that North Fulton grew in the 2000s. And so if you go down by Fairburn, if you go down by Palmetto, city of South Fulton, we are indeed growing. The issue is, and this is kind of specific to South Fulton, is that we have students who go to schools in other areas. They don't go to school in South Fulton. So for example, North Springs has about 300 to 400, don't quote me on the number, but it's a couple of hundred students who go to school in North Springs. Riverwood probably has about 400 students. And that's not counting the countless private schools or other schools the kids go to. So when people look at the numbers in South Fulton, we're a little bit lower. We are lower than North Fulton, but it's because all of our kids don't go to school there. So in an ideal world, if all of our kids were here, we would be having conversations about building more schools. So even though we will redistrict, in the next capital plan that is voted for, we will need a new school. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. What about adding on to the existing schools like Tri-City? Are they maxed out as well? I know
No,
that number is a lot lower.
No, they're not maxed out. They have about roughly 400 seats, and so does Banneker. And so Tri-Cities and Creekside just got a 20 million renovation, respectively, each this summer and last summer. And so their numbers have increased with the number of kids that they can have in their buildings.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Ms. Warren, I want to ask you if you can help us. We do have the Sandtown Foundation, and I know some years ago we did support a teacher who applied for a grant to help with conflict resolution and all of that type of thing. So if you can remind your principals in our area in Sandtown that there is money in our foundation to give grants and they need to apply, we would appreciate that.
Absolutely. I'll send an email out to our zone superintendents.
Okay.
And especially, it makes me think about some of the work that's happening at Sandtown Middle School around band. We know the best deterrent for students in any conflict is getting them invested in things at school. So at Sandtown, we have a pretty big band, and who goes out and performs for the community, goes to the football games. So I'll shoot that over there for them and some of the things that they're doing. And also around A. Philip Randolph, they just got a big vending machine that basically gives out books. So I'm sure they would love some resources to help with that.
Right. We did award a grant to Sandtown Middle School last school year. So they are very familiar with the process. So
yes, ma'am.
just ask that you help us. Sometimes when we get people like you to talk to the principals, because we know how busy they are, they will go on the website and pull down the information and apply and send it to us. So
yes, ma'am.
We are willing to support.
And is there any way you can send me like a write-up on it so I can shoot it to them pretty quickly and direct it to some teachers? Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Hi there, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Hey, so I'm wondering about the science of reading training that the teachers have received or the schools have received in elementary. What expectation, or is there any expectation that parents get some type of training, some level of training? Of course, not as in-depth as the schools have gotten, but some type of information or training about it so that we know how to support our students at home.
Absolutely. So we have had some parent sessions last year with elementary. If I need to ask about, we have a front-facing website where we give some of the recorded trainings, but let me ask our person who's over it, what does the timeline look like this year for more parent workshops? So that was one of the things that I pressed last year, because ideally this training, this training is very expensive if you got it on your own. And so my thing has always been, parents need to know how to work with their students, because the elementary students have new workbooks. They have new textbooks aligned to the science of reading. So if you shoot me an email, and I'll send this also to the association, if you shoot me an email about when I'll find out when the upcoming trainings are, and I'll make sure to advertise them with you guys, but also throughout the larger community.
Thank you.
No problem.
Are there any other questions from Mrs. Warren? Well, we want to thank you for joining us. Good to see you, and hope you have a successful school year.
Can I say one more thing, Ms. Davis?
Sure.
Absolutely. So lots of people have asked me, how do I volunteer in the schools? If you go to Fulton County Schools and you type in volunteer, there's an online form. Anybody who doesn't have a felony, who's not on any type of list, can volunteer in our schools. So once you get approved, it's usually a pretty quick turnaround. So it's about to be Labor Day weekend, so probably early part of next week when we come back. Please, 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 if you can, please go into our schools and volunteer. If you go on Nextdoor or some of our other platforms, you hear people who complain about our schools all the time, good things and bad things, right? And what I'm here to say is probably 2 to 3 times a week I'm in our schools, from as far as A. Philip Randolph to all the way down in Palmetto to Palmetto Elementary School. And what I can say is that our kids are brilliant. Our teachers are teaching. And so I encourage everybody, sign up. Go into Sandtown Middle School, volunteer. They need you in the library. They need you at lunch. And I think a lot of our kids, it would behoove them to see the community in there, because even our ones who sometimes are knuckleheads, many times they just need an adult who can show them some love and get them on the right track. So please, 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 if you can, please sign up to volunteer. All of our schools are open. All volunteers are open. You can work in the front office, helping us get kids to class, answering phones. You can only do it once a month, once a week, every day. It's up to you, but we would love to have you.
All righty. Any other comments? Well, thank you, Ms. Orange. Enjoy the rest of your evening. All righty. Next, we will have our fire and police. I haven't seen Chief Chad Jones, but there is Corporal Fears on the line.
Chief Jones is here. I'm here.
Oh, okay. All righty. You want to go ahead?
I'm good. I can go ahead. Thank you. And sorry, yeah, for some reason I'm out on the road today, and I've dropped the call like 3 times, but so hopefully I won't do that. But good evening to everybody at Sandtown community. Chad Jones, Fire Chief. Your fire department's been very busy this past month. A lot going on with the city, a lot going on with the fire department. So some good news. We've been talking about it for a couple of months, but our 3 brand new engines are in the city and in the stations. One is at Station 8, which is down in Cedar Grove. Another engine is in service at Station 11 up on Fulton Industrial. And the other one is Station 5, which is on Bethesda. So what does that do for us? It takes out all of our older apparatus, the 1998 and the 2002 engines that we were having a lot of mechanical problems with. They are no longer in service. We have brand new engine service in the city at 3 of the 9 stations. So that is great news, and thank you all to that supported it. Another thing that went through, if you saw the last council meeting, was the county mitigation plan. It's a hazard mitigation plan. It's updated every 10 years. And of course, we weren't a city 5 or 10 years ago. So this is the first time the city of South Fulton is actually in the county hazard mitigation plan. And what does that mean? It's been approved by FEMA. And if we have a natural disaster, we follow the plan. We'll also be able to hopefully recoup some of the money and get disaster money because we're now included in that plan. The budget, y'all probably been watching the budget and the millage rate hearings going forward. One good thing for the budget, the fire department is well supported, getting a few new positions, getting some facility upgrades, equipment upgrades, and a lot of training, so things we need so that we can service everybody better. Couple of things on the, I'd say, not so good news. Again, for this month, we are still trending up in our call volume. We are still seeing about 80% of our calls are medical. And again, some of it is just because our population grows. We've had a very hot summer. We've also had a lot of bad rains and storms. So just be careful when you're out driving, make sure you're buckled up, slow down. Those are the type of calls we're seeing. Also, it's been in the news lately, and we are monitoring. If you have not seen it, the Atlanta Medical Center is talking about November 1st closing down Atlanta Medical Center there in downtown Atlanta. And although it's not in our city, we will be affected. Currently, our EMS status, we're already having trouble getting ambulances in and out of hospitals. COVID showed us that we didn't have enough ER space in and around Atlanta. So anytime they close, they've already closed the South Campus on Cleveland. To close their downtown campus would take another emergency room out of our area. And so it makes it harder for us. So we're having to send ambulances to Fayette, Noonan, Clayton, Douglas, Cobb. Again, and it's also a trauma center. So if Grady was too busy, you could end up at Atlanta Medical Center for trauma. So that really hurts our region. I know Fulton County is voicing their opinion, but just keeping y'all in the loop of what's going on the EMS side. As far as our community risk reduction. We are moving forward with some of the programs we talked about. We are working with the school system to introduce a dual enrollment fire program, hopefully this year in Westlake and Tri-City. So those high school juniors and seniors could get into the program, and we could actually offer them jobs right out of high school. We had a successful job fair yesterday. And again, we have a lot of applications, and we are slowly filling all the positions in the fire department. We still ask people, as a public safety announcement, COVID is still out there. If you saw, the FDA just approved the newest COVID vaccine that's supposed to a booster that oversight Omicron variant. So those are out there. And again, the city is continuing to host vaccine sites. And if you are a resident and you go to one of the city's sponsored events, we're giving citizens of South Fulton a $100 gift card to get their vaccines. Flu shots are coming soon. And at the last town hall meeting, I was asked about monkeypox. Fulton County is monitoring monkeypox. They do see that it is declining, but that vaccine is out there in Fulton County if you are so inclined to take one. Other than that, we asked you getting into the fall, check your smoke detectors. I actually thought I heard one beeping on the call earlier. It's that time of the year coming up in the fall when you change your clocks, check your batteries, check your smoke detectors. We still will install smoke detectors. We still have car seats. So if you need either one of them, please go to the website and ask for them. Other than that, that's pretty much all I had to tell y'all tonight. We do have the September 9th, Southwest Art Center from 11 to 1. They are doing a special for 9/11. So you can come out and see the program. Other than that, I'm open to any questions you may have for the fire department.
Does anyone have any questions for Chief Jones? Well, as always, thank you, Chief Jones, for joining us on our calls and sharing information. We will go ahead and move to Corporal Sears from the police department.
Good evening, everyone. It's Corporal Fears. How are you?
Great.
All right. Yes, just to piggyback on Chief Jones, we do have a program coming up on September 9th in remembrance of September 11th. So if everybody can make that, if you can make it, it's going to be a really nice program. And we also have another program coming up, which is Pop with a Cop. Has anybody ever been with attended a coffee with a cop or a pop with a cop or anything like that? Is anybody familiar with it?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a pop with a cop coming up September 14th, and it's going to be from 6 p.m. to 7:30 at our Butner precinct, which is located at 3220 Butner Road for those of you who aren't familiar with the precinct. And just to update everyone, if you haven't known, we have been going through some changes with our precinct. We're no longer operating out of 4900. I'm sorry, not 4900, but 3695. I'm sorry, 3695 Old National Highway. It's under construction, and we're operating solely out of Butner precinct. So I know there's been a lot of questions about that, and we're just simply going through some renovations. We're going through some renovations, which those are on the table to be taken care of relatively soon here. And as far as
Sears, can I stop you for a minute? Did you say the station on Old National is going under renovations as opposed to being shut down, right?
Yeah, well, yes, ma'am. We're experiencing renovations. It's still up in the air, and I don't want to speak too much on it. I just kind of want to give the residents something about it because we get so many questions. But as of now, we're looking for it to be more so renovated opposed to just shutting down altogether. Now, understand we aren't allowing anyone access, any of the public therefore. none of the public, and you can't get a report, accident report or incident reports, anything from there anymore. You have to reference the Butner precinct for all those services.
Well, and the reason why I asked, I was at the a meeting at the city last week or so, and there were some people there who mentioned that they cannot believe that the station on Old National was closing. So I don't know if they've been misinformed or whatever, but that's what's out there. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Absolutely. Well, it's still up in the air, but right now we want to just go ahead and say we're experiencing renovations because it is being renovated currently, but the decision hasn't been made as to if we're going to operate out of there in the future. I would presume so, but right now
it looks like Council Lady Rowell sent a chat in the chat. She said she'll give an update. So hopefully
yes,
we can shed some light on that.
yes. Thank you, Councilwoman Rowell. And as far as the comp stat for District 1, we have been working very, very aggressively with the 18-wheeler that we're locating on Cascade Road, because that was a major problem in the past. So we've had several details out there where we've apprehended several of the 18-wheelers going down Cascade Road. We have way more than enough posted signage where there's no confusion on their end, because that's another issue that we were running into, them saying that they didn't see a sign. So we wanted to make sure that the signs were out there posted so that we don't run into that construction issue that was a 2-3 year long issue in the past. Because if you all can remember, that bridge was shut down for quite a long time, for a few years there. So we don't want to run into that anymore. And I know the residents are pretty grateful for that. So that's why we make sure we work diligently with keeping those 18-wheelers off of Cascade Road, because that was one of our biggest issues. And we also have a few details coming up where we are conducting safety road checks frequently, at least once a week. We have one coming up on tomorrow, as a matter of fact, and we will be conducting safety road checks. And we have future safety road checks to be determined, but that is something that we're currently working on that will be a reoccurring thing. So we have a lot of great things that we're working on as well. We're seeing a decrease in the crime in District 1, as most of our shopping centers are in District 1. We experienced most of the car break-ins and shopliftings and stuff like that. Given the high prosecution rate with these businesses, we have seen a decrease in the numbers of crime and larceny, more so in District 1. So we're looking pretty good from a crime statistic standpoint. Outside of that, if anybody had any offline questions in reference to anything, I'm open for questions.
Any questions for Corporal Sears?
Good afternoon. Please, I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
My name is Juanita Marbury, and I live on Boat Rock Road. And I heard him speak at length about the concerns on Cascade Road. But Boat Rock Road has actually turned into an interstate. We need some severe attention on this street. We have at least 10 18-wheelers on this street every single hour of the day.
And that's Boat Rock?
Boat Rock Road. It's a residential street. No truck should be on this street. And these are 18-wheelers. I'm not talking about pickup trucks.
Absolutely.
I second that.
18-wheeler
I
trucks.
actually saw one go through the roundabout and I thought that they wouldn't be able to fit through, but he maneuvered his way on through.
So you are actually seeing an 18-wheeler maneuver around the roundabout?
I
saw one today.
Yeah, I
Today, I have
saw
a
one
photo
today.
on my phone that I actually took a photo of a truck today, and I sent it to the chief. The chief is very familiar with it, and he's been very helpful in working with this. And so have my city councilman, Catherine Rowell. She's our angel of our district. She's been very helpful in helping me navigate the system, because when you are a layperson, you really don't know exactly where to go. How do you get help? How do you draw attention to this situation? But Boat Rock Road is out of control. And if we don't get some sincere controls over Boat Rock Road, it's going to be awful. You're going to have accidents. We have 18 wheeler trucks, 10 every hour coming down Boat Rock Road. We have gas trucks, diesel fuel trucks coming up and down Boat Rock Road. We have cars racing on Boat Rock Road, 60 miles an hour on Boat Rock Road. Boat Rock Road is out of control. What I've done, and thank you, Councilman Catherine, has helped me navigate. I've actually done the petition to try to get Public Works Department to put down some traffic calming, so we could try to get some controls over this, but we're gonna need some immediate help on Boat Rock. I have called the non-emergency number. I've called Georgia Patrol, State Patrol. I've called DOT. I've been down to the city hall. I've talked to the chief. We need some help on Boat Rock Road. If you shut Boat Rock Road down with the traffic and all the foolishness that's going on here, you would help a whole lot of other streets surrounding, like Cascade, New Hope. They wouldn't have the problems if you can get control over Boat Rock Road.
Right. Well, thank you.
That is
so much for sharing
Juanita
that.
on Boat Rock Road.
Yeah, thank y'all for sharing that information, because we were completely unaware, and I'm not sure why I haven't, came across our desk yet, but I just made some notes here, and that's definitely going to be a priority in these upcoming details that we have, these road safety checks. Now, let me ask you, what time of the day is the busiest
All day.
that you've seen?
It's all day. I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually all day. I think I'm the only one on the phone call that actually live on Boat Rock, but these people live on other streets and they know what's going on Boat Rock Road. It's all day, all night. In the morning when you go out to walk, they're coming down, up and down Boat Rock Road. They're racing. Trucks, 18 wheelers are coming. They're racing cars. They're passing each other. This is a no pass street because it's a 2-lane highway with double yellow lines. They're passing each other. All of that is going on out here.
And I saw 18-wheeler this evening about 10 minutes to 4 on Boat Rock. And I was behind.
And I took a picture of one at 2:24 today.
Okay.
So I don't know if sometimes when they come down Fulton Industrial, they turn on Baker's Ferry thinking this is the other Baker's Ferry that's down further. I don't know if that's the case. I've seen them come around the roundabout and come on down the street like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be, trying to get to Fulton Industrial.
Well, when you come on the roundabout off of Hamilton Road, in the roundabout at Hamilton
Right.
and Boat Rock, it's got clear indications that it says no trucks to go.
They still
to
come.
road, and
They
but
still go.
do. Yeah.
Because that's the only way they can get down to Fulton Industrial is they go through that roundabout. Then when they get to the second roundabout where Boat Rock used to be, they all over the
Yeah,
circle.
you can't navigate that with a big truck on it.
Right, and they almost need to do that whole roundabout all over because it's sort of crazy over there. It's not really round. Okay.
Well, it's flat, so they can easily, their tires can jump it. And they go around.
It jumps it.
I'm still just amazed how they're able to even navigate through that roundabout. Because for me, that's a really tight space.
Right, it needs to be redone so it can actually be a roundabout.
Or a deterrent, because the one at Boat Rock in Hamilton and New Hope, that's a big one. So they can navigate through that, which is fine if they go on and stay on and go on out and not go down Boat Rock. But the one in front of that community,
in front of the apartment complex. Yes, that's why I'm just trying to figure out how they can.
Amazon 18-wheelers are notorious.
But I have made notes, and this is something that I'm going to present to my captain as a priority. So you all can look for us relatively soon, because we want to get ahead of it before it becomes even more of an issue than it already is. And I just thank you all for bringing it to my attention so that we can do something about it.
There's someone that put in the chat, it's the same thing that's happening in Hamilton Road, on Hamilton Road. Well, Hamilton is a state highway, so, you know, they can be on there. That's why we put the traffic calming to try to slow them up. I walk down Hamilton Road all the time. I do my walk on the sidewalks, and they do fly from Enid when they come around from Enid and to the roundabout. They are driving pretty fast.
Well, I have made several notes here, and we're gonna work on this diligently and see if we can get you all some results.
Is there any way for Hamilton? We used to get every now and then have a speed trap, those things that flash to show you speed.
The speed detection, that's a deterrent.
Yeah.
Yes, we have one over in the old National Corridor, but I'll look into seeing if we can get one over on Boat Rock Road, seeing is that you all are saying that.
Or on Hamilton Road.
Campbellton or Boat Rock?
Hamilton.
Campbellton, okay.
They drive really fast between Enid and the roundabout. I mean, they're trucking, and it's just not just the trucks, it's the cars as well. Some of the wind from the car sometimes blow me to the side.
Okay, I see someone said they're right down New Hope as well. Okay, so this is an issue all around I'm seeing.
So in the area.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So with that, and knowing that we can designate specific days where we'll go to these areas, if I can just get everyone to give me an exact location of where they're seeing these 18-wheelers outside of what we've already discussed. So as of now, I have Boat Rock, Campbellton, and of course Cascade, and now New Hope. So when we do details in the Cascade corridor, we can go ahead and do New Hope as well, because Cascade and New Hope aren't far from each other, and we'll spend a certain amount of time on Cascade, then we'll go ahead and relocate to New Hope and do New Hope as well.
Actually, sir, Boat Rock, New Hope, and Cascade all run
together.
Yeah,
they run together, but the reason why I say this is we like to start at one end, and all of those streets are, you know, they run into each other, but we want to pay close attention to where the areas of where we're seeing these 18-wheelers, because we have to stay posted in a specific area to where we can make these traffic stops and issue these citations. So we have to make sure that we're in a safe spot to be able to conduct these traffic stops. So we have to factor all that in when we're doing these details.
Okay. Well, I would suggest from my surveillance of the situation, I would suggest that you focus on the Campbellton and Boat Rock end, because if you could shut Boat Rock and Cascade down, New Hope won't have any problems.
Correct. That's correct. Okay, so that'll be the focus. More so Campbellton, seeing as how that's one.
Boat Rock and Cascade is your real problem. New Hope is just caught in the middle.
Correct.
Are there any other questions for Corporal Spears?
Yes, I have a
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. Hi, Corporal.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you. My question is about, I heard you mention that there was a decrease in crime in Zone 1 or District 1. You said where the shopping is.
Yeah, more so District 1.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Yes, ma'am. District 1 in particular, because that's where we were experiencing a lot of shoplifting, because that's where most of the shops are.
Okay.
I'd like to give an updated number in terms of the shoplifting, because that was one of the biggest crimes in that district. We see more shopliftings than anything in District 1.
Okay. I'm wondering about increase or decrease in the other districts. Do you have any data on that?
Sure. Which district would you like?
I live in Sandtown, so I
Sandtown
don't know
Center?
what, yeah, I don't know what district I'm in, but I live in
Yeah,
Sandtown.
Sandtown Center is District 1, so that
Yeah,
applies.
Okay.
To you.
yeah.
That applies to you as well.
Sandtown
right.
consists of District 1 and District 2. And on this side is District 1. District 2 is over by Westlake and all back over in there.
Yes, that's
Do you have any stats on District 2?
District 2. Let's see, I can get you District 2. Okay, for District 2. Yes, District 2 has a 10% decrease as well. So there's been a decrease in District 2 as well. And District 2 is the same thing. Most of those crimes are larceny, being car break-ins and or shoplifting. There were no burglaries, as I'm looking here on the comp stat report. There were no burglaries. There was one domestic family violence. And there were.
That seems to increase during the pandemic, and it sounds like
Yes.
that has decreased.
Yes, and I was
you're
getting ready
kind
to
of
touch on that.
re-entering, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that before you said something. That's more so what we're seeing in all the districts, domestic disputes. You know, given that people are spending more time at home, and there's, you know, the monkeypox scare going on right now. So a lot of people aren't really out like they used to be. And just as Chief Jones said, you know, monkeypox is in Fulton County, but it has decreased since it last was out. But people are still at home debating and you know, fighting with one another for their own separate reasons. And that also has to be calculated in the crime stat, because we'll get a call for service. Once it's a call for service involved, then that has to be calculated in our comp stat report, because it is a call for service. But in terms of Part 1 crimes, we look to be in pretty good shape in districts 1 and 2.
Thank you, Corporal Sears. Are there any other questions for Corporal Sears? Well, we thank you for joining us. And if you don't mind, I don't know if it'll be you, if you can, at the next meeting in October, just kind of give us an update on what will be done or has been done with the truck situation and that kind of thing. And I'm sure Councilwoman Wallace will give us an update as well.
Yes, ma'am, not a problem at all.
Okay,
Not a
well, thank
problem.
you so much for coming.
No.
Our next people on the agenda from the city of South Fulton, Public Art Commission and Fulton County Code Enforcement. And after they present, Ty Mays and Brian Morris, we will then have Mrs. Dorothy Crowley with her development on Fulton, on Wallace Road. So with that, Ms. Mays, would you like to start us off? You're on mute.
Thank you. I'm Ty Mace Kelty. I am the District 1 representative on the South Fulton Public Art Commission, and we are in the process of creating the city's first public art master plan, and we are wanting the public to give us feedback to let us know what you want to see in your community. I have some slides, but I know y'all are on a tight schedule. Do you want me to share my screen or just kind of give the highlights? What would you prefer?
Share and give highlights, however you want to do it. We like pictures.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes.
I'll go quickly because I know you have a full schedule. So our main ask for the community is that they take the public art survey. and that they share this opportunity with their neighbors. We just kind of want to get consensus from everybody in terms of the types of public art that they're most interested in. We have a limited budget, so we want to make sure that our financial priorities are the community's priorities, and that will assist us in doing that. And I'll put the link in the chat as well once I go through these few quick slides. So again, the South Fulton Public Art Ordinance was written by Councilwoman Rowell. She sponsored it back in 2018. And so it took a while for everyone to appoint someone, but we have some momentum now. Everybody has a seat and we are moving forward with the master plan. The ordinance requires that we actually produce a master plan. A lot of cities outsource theirs. For example, East Point, they outsource theirs. I think theirs was about 30,000. Fulton County outsourced theirs and it was about 96,000. So the cost is extensive. And so in order to save money, we decided to do ours in-house. There's some existing public art in the city already. You may have seen these pieces at Wolf Creek or Krill Park, but by and large, the city is largely a blank canvas. And so we're excited about the opportunities to enhance the landscape and make the city a little bit more vibrant and welcoming for the arts. Councilwoman Rowell has been very proactive in getting this program off the ground. Earlier this year, she did the paint by numbers mural at Sandtown Park. It's on the practice baseball field. If you haven't seen it, please go by. It's really pretty. We had about 40 residents to come out to prime the wall on one weekend. And then on another weekend, they actually did the painting in collaboration with the artist. The Lady Stallions kickball team was very active in this project. And then of course, you guys know about the Sandtown monument in the middle of the roundabout, because you guys were responsible for coming up with the concept and all of that. So those are the two first public art projects that have been installed in the city of South Fulton since we became a city. We are looking at FY23 in terms of the things that we want to get underway for next year. One of those projects is a John Lewis tribute mural, which Councilwoman Rowell is pushing for. And so we will have an RFP going out for that one in the next few weeks. And then in some of the other districts, we're looking at an Art on Fire project, which is essentially a fire hydrant painting project. Cliftondale Park, they have a sculpture that's coming there. We're doing some Wonder Wall murals at Wilkerson Mill and Burdett Park, an artist in residence program. The destination is to be determined. And then we want to duplicate the paint by number murals in the other districts, as well as potentially resurrect this historic sculpture park that was off of Fulton Industrial. So Councilwoman Rowell and I met with Gil Prado over at the Fulton Industrial CID. And I'm sure you all have seen this huge red geometric sculpture. Well, I was born and raised in South Fulton, and I never knew that this was actually famous. But this is one of the largest examples of modern geometric sculpture in the world. The artist is featured all over the United States. He's very famous. And in that area, there were actually 30 sculptures installed, but they've all been dismantled except for this one. Some of them are in the metro area. And you may have seen them out and about at some of the libraries or community centers. And then others are in other states. And then there's 15 that have not been able to be located. So we're going to be looking at the pads that these sculptures were originally installed on to see what kind of shape they're in, to see if we can bring any of those, anything similar back to the area. Coming up, we're going to be having the Red Oak Art Festival. This is the city's second annual art festival. It takes place in a green space on Roosevelt Highway, so you have an opportunity to go out. We encourage you to participate. If you're an artist or you know an artist, there is an artist call underway, and vendor tables are only $20, so it's very inexpensive to participate if you want to be a vendor. And then lastly, this is the web address, and I'm going to put this in the chat. And I'll put the email as well if you want to send us an email. But if you could please go to the landing page and take the survey and also share it with your neighbors, that would truly help us. I will stop sharing so I can put this in the chat and then ask you guys if you have any questions for me. No,
Sounds exciting.
I think it's exciting. So we appreciate your participation in advance, and I'm gonna put my information in here. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
I have a quick question. How will residents know about the survey? How will residents know about the survey?
So some of the council members have begun sharing it in their newsletters. There's going to be a copy of it in the South Fulton Voice, which is a citywide newsletter, as well as the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs newsletter. It's been in the South Metro Neighbor News. So we're in the middle of the public outreach campaign to get the word out about it. And you're our biggest asset for people that do take it. If you can share it with at least one neighbor, you will help us get closer to our goal just with that simple action.
So I receive a newsletter from my kids' school every single week. I wonder if you could reach out to the principals and ask them to put the survey in their newsletter since the schools are in the city.
So we did send it to our school board reps, but I think what you've proposed is probably a more direct and efficient way. So absolutely, I'll make a note to do that. Thank you.
Councilman Rowell said in the chat, it's also on the city's website.
Yes.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And now we will go to Mr. Morris.
Okay, all right, greetings. Thank you to the Sandtown community for inviting me here today. Always happy to come speak to the community. We, a big part of what we do as code enforcement is community outreach, engagement, and education. And firmly feel that the more that we talk with each other, excuse me, the better off that we'll be. So we can have a good understanding of what the needs of the residents are, and frankly, what you need from us and how we can better serve the residents in the community. So again, thank you for having me here tonight. I'm gonna be very, very brief and just open up the floor to any questions that you all may have. We just want to start by stating our mission statement. And our mission statement is to enhance the quality of life by promoting economic and community development through compliance and education. And what that means for us is that, we have a direct effect, we feel, and I think evidence shows that a clean community, a well-kept community invites higher property values, it invites economic development. It's the first thing you see when you come into a city, into a community, is it clean? So the small things that may seem small are what we focus on, because we want that first impression of South Fulton to be a good one. And it also indirectly, but I would say directly impacts the criminal element, because the same thing that criminals look for, criminal element looks for, are signs of disrepair and signs of apathy. That people really don't care about this neighborhood, about this, whether it's commercial or residential. Criminal types are more apt to set up shop in those areas where they feel that people just don't really care that much about the community. So, we take that role very, very seriously. We enjoy it, what we do, but we see that as our mission, as our purpose of kind of protecting the aesthetics of the community, knowing that it also affects the economic development, and also crime and other crime and safety as well. So, that's a big part of what we do and why we do it. But how we do it is, we look to, first of all, we want to communicate, like I say, forums like this right here, where we can hear what the issues are. So what we've seen in District 1 and District 2, what we wanted to focus on specifically here, we've get a lot of complaints about signage in the right of ways, and we focused on that very heavily. We do what we call sign stings, where we warn people a couple of times, and after that, then we actually pose as customers. I'm sure you've all seen the tree stump folks out there and the flooring signs and the roofing signs. And we've gotten most of the big ones that we've seen over and over again. And we pose as customers and we take them to a place that we've already identified and we issue citations. $2,000 per sign is what we charge. So that has gotten some pretty good results. We've seen a drastic reduction, roughly 75% reduction in signs that we pick up. We haven't totally solved the problem, but it's definitely more under control than it has been. So, those are the small things that make a big difference, and they act as a deterrent because the people that we talk to, we've had people just really say, man, you guys really take these signs seriously. And it sounds petty, it sounds small, but yes, we do, sir. We do take these signs very, very seriously because it invites, they also multiply. If you put one sign out, other people will say, well, hey, this must be a safe place. We can put 5, 6, 7, 10 signs out. So they multiply, just as trash does. Trash bags multiply as well. If you put one trash bag on the corner, if it sits too long, that trash bag, believe it or not, will multiply. So we focus on the small things. So one of the things we also hear in District 1 and 2 are short-term rentals were very, very much an issue 2019, 2020, and 2021. So we've instituted a program that cracks down, it scours the internet, it goes to 20+ different sites where people post their short-term rentals, and that's your Airbnb, your Verbo, your HomeAway, places like that. And what we do is we scour the internet and we send out notices to all of those people that have not been in compliance and don't have a business license. You have to have a short-term business license in order to run an Airbnb type establishment in the city. And we reduced those numbers from 438 in the beginning of May to last check, we were down to 135 in the beginning of August. And we'll be going back again in September once those folks have registered and we see who wants to comply and who just is not willing to comply. And then we'll go back again and send out a third notice somewhere around October, end of September, early October. And we just want to reduce those numbers because the complaints we were getting with loud noises at night, parties and things of that nature, particularly in District 1 and District 2, where you guys have larger homes that are conducive for 20, 30, 40 people to come and gather. So, that's not the intent of the short-term rental. We want to make sure that those that are registered with us are operating, within those rules and guidelines. So that's been a focus. Another thing that we focus on are blighted properties. So we've done some demolitions in District 1 and District 2, and we are focusing on some more. So council has funded us for the second year and now for the third year going into fiscal year 23 with over $300,000 in demolition funds. And we use that it's a lengthy process, but we identify, work with council, work with community members to identify the top priority. And we try to spread that around, of course, through 7 districts and then focus on the need as well. But those are the big eyesores because when you have a property that's in your neighborhood, whether it's next to you, whether it's in the street, on the same street, it diminishes your property value instantly. If that house is next to you, then your house is probably 15 to 20% less valuable, just as a fact, So eliminating those eyesores that are also not just eyesores, but just safety risks because, children are curious, they can go play inside the house and you don't know what condition it's in from that fire or that tree or whatever that caused it to be dilapidated in the first place. And then you also have potential squatters, people that could be in the house illegally and doing God knows what. So every time we eliminate one of those houses, it's just an opportunity for us to reclaim that neighborhood. And then, eventually we're working on some long-term projects and plans to get those properties back to their highest and best use. But the hard part is eliminating the problem. And that's what we're focusing on. So we have a few that we've done in District 1 and District 2, and we're going to continue. So that's something that's very, very impactful to the neighborhood. So we're going to continue that. We actually have one coming in District 1, probably the next couple of weeks that we'll be demolishing in the Loch Lomond area that should be done by the end of September. But along with that, along with demolition, abatement is a big thing. We put a new process in place where for properties that maybe they don't need demolition, but we just need to cut the grass. And we haven't had a mechanism for that before. But this will be our second round coming up here in 2 weeks on September 12th, where we actually get a warrant from the judge if we see that property is sat, for long periods of time, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it's a health and safety condition. We're asking the judge for a warrant that we can go and abate that property, cut the grass, remove the trash. So that way we're not going through that lengthy nuisance abatement, which the demolition process, which takes 3 months, 4 months to get that done. This one we can do in 30 days, and we're going to try to trim that down if we can, but it's still a big improvement from where we were. So we're going to allocate some funding toward that abatement process so we can get that moving. And what that is meant for is kind of a temporary stopgap. So if somebody has moved out or somebody's been evicted, hopefully at some point in the next 30 days, 45 days, somebody's going to come back and reclaim that house. It's not been abandoned. So that's just a temporary stopgap to keep the neighborhood from declining in that brief period. So let's see what else here. Would like to talk about community involvement. Community involvement is something that we are definitely big on because, we interact more so. We interact thousands of times with residents. So that's why we come to, we try to accept every HOA meeting, every town hall meeting that we can accept because we want to get in front of people. We feel that education before citation is our preferred way of gaining compliance. Is voluntary by letting people know these are the rules and regulations and this is what we require. However, so that's a big part of it. So community engagement is what we want to do. We want to increase that. We've instituted, before I get to that, however, we've instituted something called Code Cares, where we are looking at on a limited basis as funding permits, senior citizens and veterans that may need some assistance that can't come into compliance. And once we kind of vet their situation, we have a team of volunteers and of course some staff members that will come out and will help that senior citizen or that veteran maintain their home with minor upkeep. So we're looking to grow that in fiscal year 23. We just had a couple of successful ones so far. So it's a pilot program, but it's definitely something that we are going to continue and hopefully make this a model for other cities and other departments to kind of follow of what we can do when we just want to do it, instead of looking for a reason to say no, look for a reason to say yes. And how can we help? How can we provide an additional service? So that's the spirit behind that. So we're going to continue to grow that. So my however I was mentioning voluntary compliance. We want to do education before citation, but we also want to send a message that when we do enforce, when we do send notices, when we do have court summons, we are going to be heavy-handed with those that don't comply or won't comply. So while we want to work with you, we want to talk and educate and help people to understand, there comes a point where talking just doesn't get it. And at that point, we go to enforcement. And so to this point this year, we've done, we're right at 1,000 citations through August, which is a fairly high number for any department, but for a city side, that's a pretty high number. 1,004 citations, over 3,000 notices of violations. So 2,000 come into compliance and those 1,000 have not. So we're heavy-handed in that. We've done over 200,000 in revenue from those citations and liens and fines and what have you. So on the last note, what I want to leave everyone with before we kind of open up for questions, See-Click Fix. For those that are not familiar with See-Click Fix, I want to absolutely encourage everyone to utilize that because we're sitting with 108,000 people and we accept phone calls and emails and however you want to contact us. But See-Click Fix is the preferred way because it gives you a way to track that complaint. It gives you a way to hold us accountable to say that this was entered on said date and it wasn't touched for 2 weeks. And we can look at that and monitor that complaint, or hopefully in most cases it was addressed and it was addressed correctly. So we want to encourage everybody to use that application. It helps us out. You guys are our eyes and ears because we can't be everywhere, so please do that. And also look on our website where we post all of our notices of violations every 2 weeks. We just posted the one for the past 2 weeks today. So you can follow those violations and see what addresses have been cited, what addresses have been given notice of violations. And then also on our court days, we post our court cases, so you can see which cases are going to court. So you can kind of follow that path of that violation from cradle to the grave. And with that, I will just kind of close it up there and ask for any questions, comments, concerns.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Moore? Great information. And we appreciate you joining us today.
Okay, thank you. Anytime.
All righty. And now we'll have a presentation from Ms. Dorothy Crowley. We invited her to come back to give us an update on where she is in her development. She joined us back in March with the development on Wallace Road. And so we wanted to kind of get an update and see where she is in the process. And with that, Ms. Crowley, you have the floor.
Well, good evening, Sandtown community. Thank you for having me back. Just want to kind of give you an update on where we are with the proposed project. Based on the community feedback that we received from the community public participation meeting, we deferred the planning commission for the planning commission meeting so that we could address some of the concerns that they had. So now we're in the process of updating our plan to include what we've done is we're no longer doing duplex. We understood that duplex was a sore spot for the community, and I apologize because I was not aware, but they made me aware. So we have made that adjustment to single family homes for the 55 and wiser community. They did not want the duplex. So our architect is in the process now of creating updating the plan and creating the plan so that they can have a rendition to see what it's going to look like. We do have a couple of models of floor plans that we're proposing to use once everything is approved with the commission and that we can move forward. We do have some plans. So if you want to show those plans, I can, speak to that. And just to give you guys an update, we have been working with a HOA company creating our covenants for the community. In that community for the 55 and wiser, it will be a deeded community. So it will not be in a situation where there could be where we could have rentals or anyone could sell to anyone. You have to follow the bylaws and guidelines to be able to be in the community, and you must be 55 or older.
Those are beautiful. Do I see front porches?
It is a wraparound front porch.
Beautiful. Well, and the reason why that caught my attention, my mother-in-law, before we moved her, she passed away, she died last year, but before we moved her to Atlanta, she stayed in a senior facility in South Carolina. And they had houses like that. They had a senior multiple family type thing, but then they had surrounding it, they had houses and all of that. And the one characteristic that was just so impressive was they had porches, and everybody had their porches decorated. Everybody would come to the front porch. They had all of the community activities kind of in the center. And so you, instead of being on the back side of your house, like most of us are with the thing, we don't have a lot of front porches now. All of these older residents, they would be out and talking and dog walking and playing and doing whatever activities, but it was all in the center. It was fabulous, and she really enjoyed living there.
And those are the ideas that we want to bring. We want to bring that community feel, because so many times living in your community, you don't see your neighbor. You drive into your garage and you shut in, and unless somebody calls you to tell you something's going on or or you kind of out, you don't have that. So in this community, that's what we're looking to do, is bring back that social element to the community where each neighbor knows each other, and having porches and different areas that they can kind of gather in or people can socialize is what we are aiming to do, is to bring that element to the community.
Wow, I like that. I like that picture.
There's another one as well that does not have a porch. And that's the other one that we're looking at. It doesn't have a porch on the front, but I believe that there is a patio area in the rear.
Okay. So that's it. Go back. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, there's a little area back on the side.
And that's the side of it.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And you can extend it out with a pergola and make it, more of a patio feel to it.
I understand the what is that? The cottages off of New Hope Road?
Yes.
I understand they pretty much stay occupied.
They are.
And then when they resell them, because they're not rentals, right? So they resell them, yeah, and they go pretty fast.
They go very fast based on our research. I mean, they fill up every 55 and wiser community that has come online has sold out before they were even developed. And then there's no vacancies, because the minute that they learn that someone is selling, some of the family members or the community members that live there, the word generally gets out to them, and then they have someone that they know before it can actually even almost hit the market, they're sold.
Well, on the last call that we had last month, I don't remember what her name was. She lives in the community, and she was excited about this development because we don't have yet a market rate retirement community. We do have a government subsidized retirement community over there off of Riverside Drive.
Right.
And so one of the things that she said was, she can't qualify. You have to have a certain income to live in that community, and they were ready to transition. And so she was really excited about what we're trying to do in the community by bringing something like this to the community, as well as the one that's on Reynolds Road. And so there is a need, because we do have a large retirement community here in Sandtown. We always have. And a lot of them are, once they get to the point where they do have to transition, they go to Douglasville or they go to Cobb County.
And that was one of the things that we wanted. We wanted them to be able to, we wanted to offer an opportunity for them to stay in their community. And being able to live out you've been here for all your life and you want to stay in the community. And we've noticed that in our community that we're in, a lot of the children are coming back, moving into the homes that the parents lived in, and they're raising the grandchildren there. So with our community, it allows you to stay in the community, even if your children move in, you still have access to your family, and you don't have to move all the way to Douglasville or further out south. You can stay where you're comfortable at.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Yes.
What's the price point? And can you remind me where these will be? I'm not exactly sure. I'm sorry, I'm new to Sandtown.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
They'll be located on Wallace Road at 2210 Wallace Road between Daytona and Sky. Is that before you get to
Skyview?
Skyview, before you get to that stop sign at Skyview. So the property is between those two stop signs.
Ms. Gibson, are you familiar with Wallace Road at all?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, if you go down Hamilton Road and you turn going toward Camp Creek and you turn left on Wallace Road.
Yep.
And you go up to that stop sign, Don't you go through the stop sign and the property is to the left, right? Am I
It's to
correct?
the left, right
Uh-huh.
across from the Madison Trace. The
Yeah.
Madison Trace subdivision is there, and as you're coming down to the property line actually starts right there at the three-way stop sign. And then as you go through where Madison Trace and you look to your left, the property starts there and it goes down past that fire hydrant before you get to that next for sale sign, because there is another, property there next to it.
Right.
And what's the price point?
The price point for the 55 and wiser is in the 400s, and the single families, there will also be 8 single family homes as well, and they'll be in the 500s.
And how many homes would there be total?
Total, we're looking at a total of, there'll be 20 55 and wiser and 8 single families, and then we're also building 2 of our family homes there on the property, so it will be a total of 30.
Okay, would there be amenities? Like
There will not be amenities because it's not enough property, and then we don't want to price, people out with HOA fees to be able to add those extra amenities.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
So tell us what we're just trying to keep up with your process of where you are. So tell us what's next.
Okay, the next step is next week, we're going to host another public participation meeting just to update the community that we've addressed the concerns that they had. There were some concerns that they had. They didn't want the duplex, so we are with the single families. And then on the 13th of September is when we go back to the Planning Commission for their approval. And after that, we will be waiting for, the next step for the community approval. And then we will be ready for an exciting groundbreaking. So I'm excited. We've had a lot of inquiries about the property. We have a lot of retirees that have asked since they've learned about the project. They've asked about it. We even have people that, I guess the word is kind of getting out because the people, I'm over in on the other side of Greenbrier between that East Point and Greenbrier area. And I've had people to even, I've not talked to them, but somebody has talked to them because they're asking me, they're ready to sell and see if they're ready to downsize and move, and they want to know how soon it's going to come online. So we're excited to be able to bring something to the community that's a need in the community.
Wow.
So that's basically, where we are. We're just kind of, waiting for the commission, and after that, those meetings, and then we'll be ready to move forward.
Wonderful. I like what I see. I don't know about anybody else. I don't know if anyone has any other comments. Y'all quiet tonight. But well, wonderful. Once you get all of your final plans, and let us know when the community, I'd like to see once everything is done.
We will. The architect is working on the updating the renderings now. So once they get the updated renderings together, and we should have them by Tuesday by Tuesday of next week for the next meeting. They're working on them so we can get them and be ready to present them.
And when did you say the next meeting is? The 13th?
We're going to have a community meeting, a public participation meeting on the 7th at Enon at the Wolf Creek Library.
Okay, what time?
It's going to be from 4:30 to 5:45. The library closes at 6, so we have to get in and get out.
That's on September 7th?
Yes, September 7th.
Okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys, Councilwoman Rowell. I appreciate you giving us so much insight and directions concerning, the approach and working with the community to get the resolution that they're looking for. So I truly appreciate you all.
I do have one quick question. Did you say for the 55 and wiser community, was that going to be gated or no?
It's not going to be gated, no.
Okay.
With that, Councilman Rowell, we have Henry Bailey on the agenda, but they called to they can't join us. They kind of want to have a special call meeting possibly on the 8th, but, so you go ahead, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Let me also thank Ms. Crowley for having a listening ear. I know I received many phone calls regarding this project. As you know, this was first presented to the community in March, and we heard positive feedback. And when it moved around in the community, you know, we got some feedback that people were concerned about the duplex. And thank you, Ms. Crowley, for listening and being willing to go back and try to adjust your plans to respond to what you heard from community. So I appreciate you for that. Every developer does not do that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Couple quick updates. The city council voted on the millage rate for the upcoming fiscal year, which begins October 1st and runs through September 30th of every calendar year. We kept the millage rate the same at 12.899. In addition, I introduced the ordinance to strengthen the penalties for trucks on truck restricted routes. I'm not going to beat a dead horse because we talked about that pretty extensively on the call. But the ordinance basically has a graduated ticket. So first offense, $500, second offense, $750, and the third, $1,000. So I know usually when you hit people in their pockets, they come into compliance pretty quickly. We also had a budget amendment where the city council approved 4 speed detection signs per district. Those signs are the flashing signs that say you're going too fast. Speeding has been a major issue, not just on the roads we talked about today, but all across the metropolitan area. And I'm sure you've seen, you know, a lot of the news coverage from people doing all kind of donuts in the road. You see them in the road, actually. So this is one of the things. I also sponsored the ordinance that stiffened the penalties for streetcar racers. And you really don't hear them like you used to, in case you notice. We used to hear them going up Camp Creek and Fulton Industrial, and the police department did a great job of having a number of sting operations, and that shut that down pretty quickly. So I want to say a special shout out to the police department. They've gotten a lot of that underhand. It's not all gone, but it's definitely a significant decrease. We also have, if you've been by Publix, you probably noticed the Carter development is well underway. I had an update from Adam on today, and he said they'll begin to go vertical next week. So you'll see the framing begin to take place. And they are also subdividing the parcel so that there'll be 3 commercial parcels in that general area, 2 facing Camilton Road and 1 on Riverside Drive. Originally, it was supposed to be more, but by the time they went back forth with GDOT and some of the requirements imposed by the state, they couldn't do more than the 3. So hopefully in the next, after we subdivide, the city council would have to approve the subdivisions. They'll be able to actively market those sites. Of course, developers want to know how big is the parcel and those kind of things to make sure that their footprint can fit on those lots. So looking forward to bringing them back, you know, in let's say 3-4 months to give an update on where they are on that. In addition, we have Mr. Morris talked about the Code Cares program. The first initiative was launched actually in District 1 on Wallace Road. I was able to participate. It was a quite rewarding experience. And just the response for the senior who was the beneficiary of that project, you know, it does the heart well. I will also say there's an opportunity for community just to volunteer. We have residents across the city who signed up to support and help. So people who love to garden and the like came. We had people from Old National, District 1, just all over the city who volunteered their time to help spruce up the senior's house, and she was most appreciative. You probably saw the story actually ran on the news quite a bit. I think all the major networks covered that story. In addition, I have an ordinance that I introduced at the last council meeting and I'm working to make sure I have support for it, is to prohibit signs in the right of way across our entire city. I know this is supported by Brian Morris and the code enforcement. They spend a lot of time removing those signs, even candidate signs who, they run for office and then they don't come back and remove them. We still have signs out there from last election cycle. So, so it's really just aligning with state law. State law doesn't allow you to put any signs in the right of way. This would also address signs being affixed to poles and the like. Again, I don't think it's a great aesthetic for our city, and it's in response to actually some complaints I received from businesses who had to deal with signs on their private property when people never asked, could they be put there in the first place? And then for residents as well who just complained, as Mr. Moore said, he also receives a lot of calls in his office about signs in the right of way. And I guess I'll just stop with that for now. There's a lot going on in the area. I will tell you that I'll continue to be working with Fulton County on the redevelopment of Fulton Industrial. If you've gone down there in the last couple months, you've probably noticed it's a whole lot less activity in the area. A lot of those parcels have been purchased by Fulton County, and they are working in partnership with the city on the redevelopment of the area. In our city limits, we only actually have one hotel remaining. That's addressed a lot of the crime, and the police department has been doing a fabulous job of bringing that crime under control on Fulton Industrial. As you know, it just came into our city limits last year. So it's just a little over a year that it's been in the city limits. And we are working aggressively to try to clean that area up so that when you get off the exit, it will have, hopefully in the next couple of years, a totally different look. So very excited about that. And I'll open it up for questions.
Any
Hello,
questions,
Councilman
anyone?
Yes. Can you give us an update on what, where the city council is in terms of the sanitation proposal?
Honestly, I don't have an update right now. I know the staff, they actually evaluate the proposals and they make a recommendation to city council. They haven't provided us any additional updates, so I don't have one. But hopefully by the time I have my town hall meeting next month, I'll be able to provide an update.
Okay. I attended a lot of those meetings and overwhelmingly negative response to the community. So I'm just interested to see where each council member stands. So I'll definitely attend your meeting because I would love to hear what your position is on the proposal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can tell you now. I don't have to wait to the meeting. In general, again, and I don't know what the staff will come back. My preference is to look at something similar to Gwinnett County where they do zones. I think one of the challenges we get a lot of complaints about sanitation services, and because we're not a party to the contract or the relationship, all we're doing is calling and intervening on behalf of the residents. So there's no way to control costs, and so you have costs all across the board. My hope would be that we could have regulated and then aligned it so that trash would be, say, in District 1, that the day for pickup for any provider would be on, say, Monday, and it all happens so you don't have trash cans out there multiple days of the week. But again, I'm gonna be interested to see what the staff brings back, but that's kind of where I am now. Maybe they compel me to tell me something different, but I can tell you from what I've heard, most council members don't necessarily share that viewpoint.
I think I appreciate that viewpoint. I think that there's a lot of steps we can take, just like you said, with regulation prior to the city assuming a financial interest in sanitation, like City of Atlanta and others have done, and that just doesn't work out well. So I appreciate your response.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Y'all are quiet tonight.
They
I don't know
are,
what's
I'm
going
telling you, I
on.
guess
I'm
everybody's
kinda
getting ready
scared.
they getting ready for the holiday. That's what it is.
Maybe that's it.
Well, Councilman Gums is not on the call. I wanted to, if you don't have any questions for Councilman Rowell, I wanted to bring to your attention, Sandtown is partnering with fire marshals to do a winter coat hat and glove drive, where we are going to collect new coats and hats and gloves to give to some of the people that are in need in the community. And we have a date of November 12th. We do have, it will happen at Sandtown Crossing, but we're all working on trying to get that together. So just go to the website once we get all the plans done and the arrangements made, and we hope that you all will participate in this community effort. Normally we would have our Sandtown golf tournament, but we've decided to put that off, and we want to do something for the community, and we thought that this would be a good community project to get engaged in. And with that, it is 8:01. I want to thank everybody for joining us.
Hey,
Go ahead.
We have Representative Roger Bruce on the call.
Oh, okay. Representative Bruce, do you have anything to share?
I got on mostly to listen, but as you guys know, we did form the city charter commission for them to make recommendations to us for changes to the charter. And hopefully they'll have that to us by the end of the month. And if it is that you guys have any suggestions for the changes, I wanted to encourage you to talk to the members of the Charter Commission and let them know what your thoughts are. But I wasn't prepared to present tonight. I just wanted to get on and listen.
Any other questions for Representative Bruce? All righty. Well, with that said, thanks again, you all, for joining us. We will be back in October. We'll put together our agenda. We hope you have a wonderful holiday. Stay safe and enjoy your families. Eat a whole lot. And we will see you in October. You all stay safe. Thanks for coming. Bye now.
Bye.